Here's a headline that's hard to understand, even though it comes from the esteemed Wall Street Journal. Trump vetoes bill designed to kill plan for stricter loan forgiveness rules. So the trouble with this headline and what makes it difficult to understand is that it's got what I call the dreaded double negative in here. Or actually, in this case, it might be a triple or a quadruple negative. An example of a double negative is like if somebody says to you, it's not that I don't love you, what would you think? You'd go, wait, what? Does that mean you love me? You don't love me, do you? It's because the not and don't are a double negative. The words here that make this a negative is we've got vetoes, we've got kill, we've got stricter, which are definitely negative words, and then we can debate about whether or not forgiveness here is negative. By loan forgiveness, what they mean is they're talking about student loans. And by forgiving student loans, you're basically reducing someone's debt. So that would be a good thing, right? And that's one trick to how you would figure out what this headline means. So loan forgiveness, we would say, okay, that's good. Reducing student debt, yay, especially if you're a student. Other people might disagree, but let's pretend you're a student and you say, okay, forgive me of my loans. That's a good thing. So we have a seeming positive here, but the thing is that if you forgive someone's loans, you're basically reducing the amount. So in reality, that's more like a negative. In other words, it's a reduction in your student loans. Okay. So, but in the meaningful sense, forgiving loans is good. Okay. So we've got a good thing here, loan forgiveness. But then stricter loan forgiveness, you can tell this is Betsy DeVos down here. This is back during the last administration. She wanted to make it harder for students to be forgiven of their loans. So that's the stricter part. Okay. So if this is a positive thinking thing over here, the forgiveness, making this harder would be a negative. Okay, so we're back to a negative. We went from a good thing to a bad thing. But then at some point, there was a plan, maybe a bill in Congress that said they were going to kill that plan to make it to make loan forgiveness more strict. So that would be a good thing. So we're back to a good thing again. All right, yay. Even though it uses the word kill, which is confusing. So we're back to a good now. But then the last administration vetoed that. And so now we're back to another negative thing. So we started out with a good, and we went to a bad, and then we went back to with a good and then bad over here. So basically we were like, yay, and then we were like, oh, and then we were like, yay, and then we were like, oh, again. So basically what this headline is saying is that Trump vetoed a bill in Congress that would have limited Betsy DeVos's desire to make it harder for students to be forgiven of their loans, to reduce their loan debt. And so if you can follow all that logic, that's really what makes it confusing, is that we have sort of a double, a triple, maybe even a quadruple negative going on there, and that's what makes it difficult. But you have to think of it in reverse. So that makes it somewhat understandable, even though it's still a little confusing. Would have just been easier to say, Trump decides students should not be forgiven of their student loans, something like that.